Well, hello, my name is Roland Waterman, and you are watching Connect. And today I am privileged and honored to have someone that I consider a dear friend and a very special guest on our program, and that's Kris Nauman from Clarity Clinic here in Dubuque, Iowa. So, Kris, it's good as always to see you. We were kind of reminiscing when the last time was that we did this. It's been probably 3 years ago. But, you know, I have a great admiration for people that dedicate their lives to make the lives of other people better. And that's what Kris and all of her team is doing and has been doing for many years. And so, Kris, I'm going to let you just lead off and share a little bit about yourself and Clarity Clinic, how you got into this and why it means so much to you, why you have made it your life's calling.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here today. I am excited to be here today because it's so important for all of us to know about our local pregnancy center. And I got involved over 12 years ago. And in my course of employment with the Clarity Clinic Pregnancy Center, I have found so many women in fear and loss of hope and no support that it's impassioned me to get out of our own box, our own city, and really get involved into our tri-state area and even expand into eastern Iowa and in our state with ideas that can strengthen other pregnancy centers. Mm-hmm. And it's very heart-wrenching to watch a woman that comes into our center and is in a crisis pregnancy, and then yet 2 years later she comes back and she's in a crisis pregnancy again. And so my hope and my goal is to help our center and other centers to be strengthened to do more so that they're coming back for support, not just for a crisis pregnancy, but for support for their families, to strengthen their families and encourage them, and through the gospel of Jesus Christ, to strengthen them and transform their life to be on track for the plan of God in their life.
Yes. Now, Kris, you offer first of all, when someone comes in, it's important, and maybe you were going to get to this, but you don't sit there and try to talk people out of, right?
Absolutely not.
You offer options.
Yes, we offer free services. It's options counseling. We educate them on the risks and side effects with abortion. We talk to them about adoption, and we also talk to them about parenting. And you know, the number one argument against pregnancy centers is all you care about is saving the baby, but you don't care about the family.
Wow.
And you know, over 50% of our families are single families, single parent families. And our team is part of CareNet, which is one of the largest national affiliates. And they have embraced a new program that's, new vision, I should say, that is pro-abundant life. Not just pro-life, but pro-abundant life. Pro-abundant life means that not only are you there during that woman's crisis, but you are also trying to empower her and the father of the baby and that unborn child and any other children in that family to support them, to give them hope and compassion. As you know, 4 out of 10 women that face an unplanned pregnancy cite that the father of the baby is the #1 influence in their life decision. Wow. That's pretty powerful. And 54% of unplanned pregnancies happen within women that state they're Christians or are attending a church at least once a month. Mm-hmm. And so we as a body of Christ need to do a better job in helping support those women and those men that are facing a crisis pregnancy. And to do that, Pastor, it is impeccable that we follow through with women and men in our church, families in our church that are single families, and really strengthen them and give them hope. By doing this, we need to educate our congregations. We need to show our congregations how they can get involved and be informed on life decisions and how to empower the families in their congregation. And that program through CareNet is called Making Life Disciples. And I'm excited to connect and partner with pastors in our area to strengthen families and to know more about their local demographic of pregnancy center. In other words, you know, most pastors will think, or churches, people that are pro-life will think, oh, there's a pregnancy center, they take care of that. But do they really know what they do? One thing that I found out is that many people in our very own community know that we offer pregnancy tests and ultrasounds, but they have no idea that we have a First Steps Earn While You Learn program that gave out over 26,000 baby items in 2019. And those are the things that a community can get behind, because they're going to hear about the good news and the transformation of how lives are being supported, lives are being changed, people are getting financially independent because they're learning about jobs and scholarships available. Families are being supported with the needs. And even despite COVID this past year, we have given out over 9,000 baby items, but we had to be innovative in how we're reaching these families. So we do live streaming through a company called Bright Course. It's a parent education program. And so they can receive that right there on their phone, and their kids can be around them, and we're not putting them at risk or their children at risk, our workers at risk. And then they can we provide curbside pickup. They earn points when they complete their assignment in that parent education program, and those points are earned and they can spend them in our boutique. And you know, we're doing all kinds of renovations to our building right now to really strengthen those families.
Yes. One thing comes to mind, Kris, you know, I was thinking about grandparents.
Oh, yeah.
Every grandparent looks forward to having a new grandbaby in the house.
Yes.
So I don't know how much the grandparents are involved in this.
Yes.
Do you involve them at all?
Yes. So before COVID happened, we were having group classes where we would have grandparents that are driving the young granddaughter and the newborn baby to these classes. And we had to transform to group classes because, you know, when you're at a pregnancy center, you're 100% donor supported. And because you're 100% donor supported, you have to be innovative and find ways that you can use the same amount of staff to serve more people.
Yes.
And to do that, we had to create group classes. And some of our group classes had 10 to 15 people. And they had dads in there, and they had babies in there. And you know, there's moms with a baby that's an infant and maybe had to bring her toddler because she has no support. But what people who have not gone through a crisis pregnancy in their own family or have been around anything like that, they really don't understand that this does not just impact the parents, it impacts the entire family. The other siblings are impacted. I know myself, in my situation as a grandparent, I was not able to see my granddaughter till she was 15 months old. And you know, having something in place, especially in a local pregnancy, that can support a parent or a grandparent or a family member going through a very difficult situation that maybe they can't talk about in their local church, but preparing those people in that congregation to understand the things that would be helpful and not helpful in a situation, educating them and showing them what their local pregnancy center does to point them to that resource is very powerful.
Yes. Well, you said what percentage of those that have unplanned pregnancies are Christians, or they go to church? What percentage was that again?
54%.
54%.
54%. 6 out of 10 stated that they were attending church services at least once a month when they found themselves in a crisis pregnancy. But because of how the church looks upon sex outside of marriage, they felt condemned.
Yep.
And so that's where the education in the Making Life Disciples is a powerful tool to help people in the church that are excited to support families in crisis to understand. And that training can happen through a local pregnancy center. I know that our center is wanting to connect with local churches to provide that training and equip them to be stronger when they encounter a family in their congregation facing a crisis pregnancy or a woman who has had an abortion, to help her be supported. And you know, it's vital because what they have found in research over the years is that women that have faced abortion and chosen abortion, 30% of those women have psychological damage and depression from the outcome of what they go through. And they're hurting, and they're sitting in those churches. They know Jesus is their healer. They know that he saved them, and has forgiven their sins, but they're still struggling. And having people that are equipped to really help them or point them to a pregnancy center with post-abortion support is a powerful thing.
It really is. You know, I remember saying this to you 3 years ago, Kris, that if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I would be involved in pregnancy support because of well, just the idea of abortion. It breaks my heart. But anyway, because God is the giver of life, and you know, the Bible says that God knew us before we were even formed in our mother's womb. You think about that every child that is conceived is known already by God before it is ever born into this world, and that God foreknew them and that He had plans for their life. Yeah. And that just strickens me. It just pierces my heart to think that what it does to God's heart, that He had great plans for that child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the parents. One other thing I was going to ask you too is, what are some of the, can you mention the specific programs from the time a person comes in? What different programs do you have? You said you have group classes, right?
Right.
Are you still doing those in spite of COVID?
In spite of COVID, we're doing it through like a telehealth. So we have a platform called Doxy.me that we offer group classes so that, especially with COVID, so many people are feeling isolated, and single moms certainly are with their little ones. And so we are taking our group classes into like a telehealth where they all are looking at each other like on the Brady Bunch in those squares. And basically, we are bringing in spotlight speakers to be able to talk on topics that are relevant to parenting. So birthing and delivery, breastfeeding, and childhood development. Prior to COVID, we partnered with many community organizations to talk about developmental stages where children could be high risk for being on the spectrum, and also with local financial departments of like Dupaco Community Credit Union, talking to them about budgets and setting, clearing up their credit scores, and even Iowa Works in providing support with their local workshops that they offer for free. We encourage women to go to those workshops, and if they attend those workshops and they're in our First Steps program, they are allowed to earn points. Wow. So even though they're at Iowa Works, getting educated on programs to help them be more marketable as an employee, they are able to earn points and come and shop. And so those are some just brief things that we talk about. We talk about sleep safe. We talk about head injuries, you know, when people are stressed out. Unfortunately, there are people don't always know how to de-escalate when they have a baby crying for hours on end. And so de-escalating that stress and talking to that abusive head, you know, shaken baby syndrome. And you know, we just try to cover pediatric emergencies and things that could come up that will strengthen them as parents. And those are vital essentials for young moms that don't have support. Right.
And you know, I believe this, you know, the Bible, Ephesians chapter 4, just so you know where I'm coming from, says that Christ has given to the church apostles and prophets and evangelists, pastors and teachers for the equipping of the saints for the work of ministry. And I really believe that in these days that we're living in, there's so much need in our culture and in our society. And we need, as pastors and leaders, we need to be equipping our people, just as what Kris is talking about here, so that they feel confident to know how to help people in these situations. And you do provide training for your volunteers.
Yes, yes. So we have approximately 20 volunteers at our center. We have a team of 4 doctors that volunteer their time to review our charts and our scans, our ultrasound scans. We have volunteers that work in our boutique that process and clean and tag all the baby items that will be in our boutique and put them into our inventory. We have volunteers that will help in our parent education program to help support. If we have a staff member on vacation, we have someone that can step in. We just have a host of people that support us, but we're always in need of more volunteers to be trained. And we follow CareNet's guidance in our advocate training and medical training and all those kinds of things. And our center actually, based on our numbers and the growth over the last 4 years, we have decided to do an expansion on our building. And you know, people might think, you know, COVID, why would you continue with this project? But this is something that we've been planning for 2 years. And our building was a former Planned Parenthood of the Heartland in Dubuque, and by purchasing the building, they left town. And we have taken that building and used every square inch of it, basically. And we are, with our First Steps program and our peer and education program, we outgrew it. We are outgrowing the building what we purchased. But it sits on just under 2 acres in the middle of the city of Dubuque.
Wow.
And so we are putting a $1.5 million project expansion on. It will add over 7,500 square feet to the main floor. Wow. It'll have 2 huge large group classrooms, new 6 offices, new kid zone area. So when those moms come to the group classes and dads, their children will be taken care of. So there'll be a kid zone in the upper level and in the lower level to separate the newborns from the toddlers. It'll give opportunity for internships for early childhood care with our local colleges. It'll give opportunities for other resources in the community to have one place that they come to and coordinate planning for spotlight speaking on topics that they offer in the community, and give us the opportunity to partner with them and to give those clients that are in our programs an opportunity to meet those people directly, so that they want to have someone that they can trust where they go to the next step. You kind of have to help them, hold their hand and show them this is where you want to go next, and this is the person that you'll meet there, and they'll take great care of you. And we follow through with that. In fact, one thing comes to mind. We are partnered with Unified Therapy, and it's a local PT and OT therapy and speech therapy, and they have been spotlight speakers for us, and they come in and do free screening annually for children that could be on the spectrum with developmental. And so when they show up for that first evaluation with Unified Therapy, they earn points. They're earning those points because we want them to get to that evaluation. We want to help them take that next step. That's why we're partnered with Iowa Works. We want to have job fairs at some point where Iowa Works can come in and bring local businesses to meet some of these people that are interested in their program, their apprenticeships and things. Yes. So this is all bringing hope, showing compassion and care for their needs and support. And that's what it's all about in helping a community.
Now, you mentioned going into churches and creating awareness of what you do.
Yes.
But how about the college campuses or the high schools? Are you going into those too?
Yep. In 2019, we were in 9 school districts and 22 schools, and we went into our local colleges here, Clark University and University of Dubuque. We've been in those, and we talk about healthy relationships, healthy boundaries. We are very involved in the school districts. We start at 5th grade and we go all the way up through high school.
5th grade?
Yeah, 5th grade. Our program starts with a program called Good Design, and Good Design talks about the changes that are happening in their body, and then we go into Under Construction, which is the middle school program, and the middle school program talks about how the social media influences their decisions and makes them aware of how much time they're spending on their phones and how it's impacting sexual risk decisions that they make, and showing them how that they can make those decisions and make up their mind to have healthy boundaries. What do those boundaries look like before they get to that situation that's heated and they make the wrong decision because they didn't have a boundary line? So we talk about those boundary lines, and we talk about things that are risky behavior. We also talk about human trafficking. Do you know that 50% of women that have been human trafficked cite that they have had an abortion? And you know the #1 target is younger kids, teens and youth. And so it's important that we talk about that and prepare them to be safe and their families.
Yep.
So.
You know, I have such a heart for people because of my own childhood, my own raising, not my raising, I had good parents, but I mean my own childhood and the struggles that I had growing up, I'll just put it that way. And one of the big things that I focus on with people and try in my attempt to help people is building a healthy self-esteem, because I think that people make some of the decisions they make in life that set them back or changed the course of their life, whatever, because they lack that healthy self-esteem. They lack that self-love. They lack that self-respect, and they don't have a plan for their future. They're just living life out one day at a time, and so I really focus on that. It is really helping people get healed of their childhood wounds, coming into wholeness through faith in Jesus Christ, a relationship with Him, and to really see what great value that God has put on the inside of them, and that they were created for greatness. I believe every human being created in the image of God is created for greatness. And so many people look at themselves very negatively, they have such a bad opinion or view of themselves. And so I really focus on correcting that and changing that. But I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know a lot of the mistakes I made when I was young was because I had very, very low self-esteem.
Yeah,
but
that's so true. I know that from my experience in over a decade of serving in this ministry, that we see so many broken and hurting people. And it becomes gut-wrenching to see them come back again, hurt and broken even more than the first time you met them. And so that's why we are building this expansion, because we know that the ultrasound is a wonderful tool to demonstrate life. Countless lives have been saved because that heartbeat on the screen is the loudest voice that mom will ever hear.
Yes.
And the father as well. And but that is not enough. That is not enough for us as a pregnancy center to be doing. It is also important for us to be building hope and compassion and support. And our new expansion will be called the Tree of Life Education Center.
Oh my.
And I truly believe, according to Proverbs 13:12, that states, hope deferred makes a heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life. Wow. It isn't enough to just save the baby. It is important that we help that family to be strengthened.
Yes.
And our center in 2006 was given a grant from Focus on the Family, an ultrasound grant, and that is the point where we pivoted from a pregnancy center to a medical clinic. Okay, so we then were Clarity Clinic, and it was at that time where we began to train to do ultrasounds, and that's where that tool of the ultrasound began. And like most pregnancy centers, that is working wonderfully in communities, saving babies. But what we need to also focus on is education, educating those parents how to be parents, how to strengthen them, and not just parents that have a newborn. Many of them already have a 5 or 6-year-old that's heading to school that, like you said, has a poor self-esteem because they are not always supported. They're left alone sometimes. They're left in the wrong atmosphere or environment, I should say, and they need guidance, and so do the parents, and so do the grandparents. So we recently were contacted by Focus on the Family about a new program that they offer that's called Raising Highly Capable Kids. And our center has been granted an $18,000 value education grant for this program to be implemented in our center. And that includes a vision casting with Focus on the Family coming in to do a vision casting about the program. And then there is another opportunity where they come in for a 4-hour training. It has been evidence-based, and it shows that there's 40 developmental assets that impact youth. And it's been evidence that has been gained on the developmental stages of youth and teens since 1990. So over 4 decades, they have been collecting this information and utilizing it to find those assets and ways of strengthening children from very young all the way up to teens.
Yes.
And that is what we are going to implement in our new Tree of Life Center. And we would like to partner with churches, schools, organizations, other pregnancy centers to empower them to strengthen their communities and really make a wonderful impact for life.
Yes. You know, I didn't think about this ahead of time, Kris, but we can still do this, and that is edit some pictures in. So if you want to do that, get some, except this is going to air Thursday already, By the way, it's Christmas week, and we want to wish you, a very, very Merry Christmas. This is going to air this Thursday night of Christmas week, and then again Sunday night at 6, and then next week on Tuesday morning. But anyway, with a little bit of time that we have left, I know that the contact information will be on the screen, so you know how to get a hold of someone, whether it's Kris or someone else at Clarity Clinic. If you would like to donate, financially donate, these projects do cost money, don't they?
Oh, yes.
And so if you feel a tug in your heart to donate to this before the end of the year, you can still do this and write that off on your taxes this year. The other thing is, if you feel like you'd like to donate your time and come and learn more about what's going on and see if there's something that you can do to help them as a volunteer, please get a hold of Clarity Clinic. Contact them. And who else might they talk to if they called in?
Well, if you wanted to volunteer or get involved with us, you can contact me, and my number is 563-557-3123, and I'm extension 1. My email will be on the screen, but you can go to partnersofclarityclinic.com or like us on Facebook, and you will find updates about our new building project. And most importantly, we want to thank you for your prayers this year for our ministry. Yes. We want to thank you for your support in honoring life, and we want to thank you for watching this broadcast today, because it matters to have people in our community who embrace life. Thank you so much, and have a very Merry Christmas. Yes. And a wonderful, healthy, prosperous New Year.
Amen. Thank you, Kris. You know, someday we're going to stand before the Lord and give an account of what we've done with our life here on earth. And I think, you know, when you contribute in any way to a ministry like this, there is a reward that awaits you in heaven, and that reward is joy, and it will last forever. So I encourage you to get involved in this. And I too wish you a very Merry Christmas, a safe Christmas, and a very blessed, safe, and happy New Year. God bless you.